March is Women's History Month, and every year we celebrate the women who broke barrier, the women who marched, the women whose names made it into the books. But this year, I started thinking about the women in my own history, the ones whose names never made it into textbooks, the ones who didn't march on Washington, but marched through life. My mama, my sister, me. Last year I was 53, and my body didn't feel like mine. My heart rate was in the triple digits. My blood pressure was high. I was in and out of the ER. Specialists, tests, more tests, and every time I tried to explain what I was feeling, I kept hearing, "It's just menopause." Just? And then one day, they suggested I needed to go to psych. Psych? Sharp, because my body was racing and I kept saying something wasn't right. I remember sitting there feeling dismissed, like no one was listening to me, like I had to prove that I knew my own body. At one point, I could tell by the way they were looking at me that they thought I was drug seeking. And I kept thinking, I am seeking. But not what you think. I was seeking answers, seeking understanding, seeking someone to tell me what was happening inside my own skin. And that's when it hit me. If I'm 53 and I feel this unprepared, what did my mama feel? Did anybody explain menopause to her? Did anybody tell her what her body would do? Or did she just survive it quietly? And what about my sister? Same bloodline. Completely different body story. 3 women, 1 family, 3 completely different experiences inside the same word, woman. And I realized something. Women's History Month doesn't just live in museums. It lives in hospital rooms, in kitchen conversations, in the silence between generations, in the moments when a Black woman says something is wrong and wonders if anyone will believe her. So tonight, we're not fixing anything. We're not diagnosing anything. We're just talking about menopause, about silence, about Black women's health, about what we were told and what we weren't. Because some things Mama never told us, but we're allowed to talk about them now. Hey y'all, what's up? We're back at it again, and this time I am with my sister Tinker, and we are going to continue talking about menopause, talking about relationships, talking about any and everything that has happened to our body and whatever we want to talk about. Tinker, tell me more about yourself.
My name is Tinker. How is everyone doing? I am the elder. I am the Muffin Man.
The Muffin Man?
Yes, the Muffin Man.
The one on Drury Lane?
Yes.
Oh my goodness, y'all, Tinker got me cracking up. Anyway, what was going on with them chickens today?
Which ones?
You got some baby ones.
Yeah, I'm gonna restock my stock. I have right now. I got 2 blue cocomarons and then 2 regular cocomarons. Those are the ones that's gonna lay like the large or the jumbo dark chocolate looking eggs.
Ooh. And what are we going to be doing with all these eggs?
We're going to be eating them.
We're going to be eating them?
Yes.
All right. Because that's right.
No,
It's part of your...
I sell them also, though.
That's right, because it's part of you at the farmer's market. Because don't you also grow food?
Well, I'm a backyard farmer. My business is called Big Sonny's Edwards Family Farm and More. And I sell vegetables, fruits, herbs, chicken eggs, duck eggs, and geese eggs when I have the geese and the ducks. Also, I do the farmer's market, but also too, planning on and getting ready to do a farmer's market myself. But this one will be like the first all black farmers market. I'm trying to reach out to the local black farmers to put us out there also, and then the youth that have something to offer too.
Okay, and you know what? That is the perfect way to go into this next subject that I've really been trying to get to ask you. How was it with you with menopause? Because I know with me being 53 and you're 57, all last year was just horrible for me. And I fired doctor after doctor after doctor when all they kept telling me was, oh, it's the perfect storm. It's menopause. I was like, no, it's not. My heart rate is in the triple digits. My blood pressure was in the triple digits. Nobody ever told me about this, talking about menopause. How did it affect you?
Menopause to me is like Bigfoot, one of those things I heard about but never saw.
Explain that one to me. Must be nice. How did that happen?
Well, with me being who I am,
because I cited Bigfoot. He's seen me, and I didn't like it.
No, I just heard about him. Seen him on TV.
So your body didn't go through any changes? No hair loss, weight gain, weight loss, dryness, ashiness, none of that? Mood swings?
No, because I never really had a period. Out of 57 years, I can count on one hand and a half, maybe. And that's how many I had.
That's interesting.
I'm not your average bear, baby.
Obviously, I see. Well, let me tell you, it was crucial. It was rough. I don't like it, and I didn't like it. I was a late bloomer to start with anyway, with the periods. And then it was like 3 days, and it was very light. How old were you when you realized that you weren't having your periods anymore? How did that affect your body?
Well, like I said, with me, mine came like every 2 years to every 4 years. I had my first one at 16, the second one at 18, the third one at 21, the fourth one at 23, and then the fifth one was 24, and then 26. And then after that, it stopped. So that's it, because I was irregular anyway. So with me, I was having more testosterone than I was estrogen, because they tried to jumpstart my period, and it's like birth control didn't work, the pill didn't work, whatever, the shot didn't work, nothing turned. My body rejected all that, I guess. And so it was just like, okay, do. So by all that, like when I hit my 20s, the only thing I went through really was like premenopause, and that only lasted for like maybe a year and a half.
And what were those? What were the symptoms of perimenopause?
Premenopause, I was just getting hot more than what I normally do, because I'm hot natured anyway. So the only thing I did was just get extra hot. So my hot flash was just more of my own body heat, just sitting up there producing more heat. And then it would stop. And then maybe a couple of months later, I might turn around and have a hot flash then, or a small one, not no real big one, because the hot flashes only lasted for like about 2 or 3 minutes, if that. And then it'll stop. Went through it one more time, and I ain't been through nothing else since.
So you haven't had like irritability, brain fog, like different mood swings?
No, because I was like that naturally.
At only 20 years old, how did that make you feel? You said that you didn't have any more periods after that, like you were going through perimenopause already at 20. How did that make you feel, like with your body? You weren't changing? You didn't feel like more tired or, different heart rhythms or anything like that? You didn't notice the subtle changes in your body?
No, because in my 20s, I was still real active and still doing athletics and all of that. But as far as not having a period every month and how I felt about that, I felt great. Because I was looking at all of y'all going through changes and cramping up and crying and going through this. And y'all are turning into Satan themselves. And it's like, yeah, no, I'll skip on that.
She said, yeah, no, I'll slip on that. Yeah.
And then some people are like heavy with it. And then it's like, yeah, no, 1 to 7 days. Some people have it 2 weeks. It's like by that time, me, after a day, in my mind, I'm like, it's time to go to the doctor. This ain't right. But as far as my periods, though, when they came, they were great also. Because the only thing I went through on that, I had gas 3 days before, bled 2 days, had gas 3 days after, and I was done. And I'll see you again in 2 years.
Well, I can say that I did not have cramps. And I was a 3-dayer also. One day, I can go a day and then I'm good. 3 days was max. But I do notice that the older I got, it went from 1 day to 3 days. And this was also after having babies and stuff like that. So obviously my body is still changing. It went from 1 day to 3 days and then 5 days. And then eventually I thought I was dying because I was like, something ain't right here because it wouldn't stop. That's where, fibroids came in. And then, the doctor did tell me I was going through perimenopause or premenopause. And all I knew about menopause was hot flashes. So like I told the doctor, I was like, well, I haven't had no hot flashes, so I'm good. You didn't experience any of that?
Nope. My thyroid is fine. Don't have no fibroids. The only female issue I had was not having a regulated period every month. That's it. But there is one time, though, it did regulate, but that was only because I synced up with one of my ex-roommates. And then when we synced up, after I had mine, the following month, I had another one. That time it was like, yeah, now it's time to go to the doctor. This ain't right.
Because you were getting normal?
Yeah.
Because you were
and then me,
syncing
like
up?
an idiot, I went to the doctor, but I knew that I was going to sync up anyway, because anytime you get more than one female around each other and you're living together for a long period of time, eventually you are going to sync up.
Mm-hmm.
That I do know. But I decided, because me being who I am, I just had to go to the doctor and tell them, look here, man, something ain't right. And they asked me, what do you mean? And I told them, I said, I'm bleeding again. It seems like I'm on a period. I said, I just got through bleeding last month. But I said, but it's back.
I bet he's looking at you like, yeah.
And they did.
And do tell more. Tell me more.
And they did. And I was like, yeah, no. I said, look here, man. I know that you're supposed to have one every month. Normal people do that. Regular people. I said, I am not the norm. I said, mine comes every 2 to every 4 years. When I start seeking up or I start having one out of nowhere every month, I said, that is not the norm for my body.
How do you know that your body just wasn't regulating itself? What did they do to you?
Because
what
it
did
only
they do for
lasted, it
you?
only happened for 1 month. That's why, and then it went back to every 2 years. It said, yeah, no, I don't like this.
Okay.
I'll see you in 2 years. Might not come back then, might be 4.
Bodily changes or mentally or emotionally. Do you remember how you felt back then? And the older that you got around the so-called time that you would have a period? Because when did it stop completely?
Either 26 or 28.
And is that so when they said you were into menopause?
No, I said, what do you mean? I said, I'm done. I said, I'm not. No. Even every time after I went to the doctor after that for my monthly checkups, my yearly checkups, my mammograms and all of that. And they used to ask me about menopause. And I said, I don't.
So how did the doctors guide you through all this?
They did not.
Oh, so yeah, just like with mine.
But what they did, the only thing they really said, they suggested the pill to try to get it started. They suggested the shot. They suggested birth control. None of that worked. The last and final thing to try to regulate it naturally that they said, and this was years later, I was in my 30s because earlier on they didn't know nothing. But they said, because I wanted kids. So they said in order for me to have kids and try to get my body regulated and somewhat naturally, and for me to have a 70-30 chance, I would have to be sexually active for a month every day. I said, yeah, that's not happening.
Now, that's interesting because I know when you get older and through menopause, did you even have the desire to have sex? Because that's something that we lose. We don't feel like being bothered. We don't feel like being touched.
Still do.
We don't feel like none of it.
No, I still do.
So you still have the urges. You still.
Yeah, I just know how to control them.
Okay. All right. Well, that's good. That's
I never lost urges.
Because I know some women, like you said, they don't experience menopause, and they don't know how it affected their body or how it doesn't affect their body, because whether they experienced it or not, or whether they realized they experienced it or not, it's still a phenomenon that you're moving through life, as a woman, and from what the doctors are telling you or what they're not telling you. Did they say anything about your heart rate or about your blood pressure?
Everything was all fine.
They said everything was fine, but did
every
you feel
test
like
that
it was
came
fine?
back, every test, every EKG, every MRI, every CAT scan, everything that they said, even stuff that I marked on the test that they didn't turn around and put on the lab work that I marked on there too, all that came back normal and fine. And I kept telling them, so I don't have to worry about nothing. This is all normal and fine, correct? I said for me though, because I know everybody is not the same. I'm in that 1% that don't have a regular period. We have irregular periods. I'm in that 1%.
Yeah, that was one of the things that was going on with me. All last year, I hated it because the doctors, none of them knew what was going on until I went up to the specialist in San Antonio.
Well, first of all, no. They know, but they're not going to tell you. But do they know? No, they do not. Just like they sat there and told me that blowing shit up was goddamn fucking damn normal, but we know it's not.
Well,
so, but technically, a doctor's job is not to cure you anyway. And with us, white doctors don't know how to sit up there and treat our body. They don't even know nothing about us. They study us, but they still don't know.
And you know what? That is so very true because I got all of my answers, 98% of my answers from melanated doctors, foreign doctors, doctors that did not specialize in Western education, Western medicine. They went, above and beyond they studied from their land and came over here.
Well, until Western doctors turn around and master our DNA and figure it out, their job is not to cure you. Their job is to sit up there and pacify the symptoms and not treat the cause.
That's true. That's why I keep asking them, instead of just trying to give me a pill, why don't we get to the root cause of the situation? Because I don't want a pill on top of a pill, masking the true problems that I have going on in the first place.
Well, they can't charge you for nature. And that's what's going to heal you. Nature is free. You're taking money out their pockets. They ain't going to tell you nothing that's going to take money out their pockets.
And that is so true. It's all about that big pharma. But anyway, this was a great conversation, Tinka. Appreciate you. Thank you, audience, for tuning in with us. It's always been a pleasure. This was a good interview. Thanks for hanging with my sister. We go back like car seats, like 4 flats on a Cadillac.
Yeah, and that means it's time for you to get up out my house.
1, 2, 3.
1, 2, 3. Get out. Next thing all I got to do now is fart in my wallet so I can have gas money.
What? Okay. Wow. My sister and I grew up in the same house, same mama, same bloodline. But our bodies told 2 completely different stories. She says menopause was like Bigfoot, something she heard about but never really saw. And me, I spent a year trying to convince doctors that something was wrong with mine. That's when I realized something important. There is no single story of womanhood. Everybody carries its own timeline, its own rhythm, its own surprises. But the one thing too many of us share is silence. Silence about what's happening inside our bodies. Silence about what our mothers went through. Silence about what we're afraid to ask. So next week, I'm sitting down with the woman who started it all, my mama. And what she told me about growing up as a woman made me understand why so many of us were never prepared for this conversation. Because some things mama never told us, but we're allowed to talk about them now.